Hello and welcome to another day of the MPGL Season 6. I'm Mr. Blackadder for HeflaTV, and joining me for this cast will hopefully be Kocho.
Yes, I am at least.
Ah,
Hopefully, nothing will be wrong anymore. Restarted my router. Things look to be fine at the very least. But we are here, I mean, in this game. Titan, they are 100% just the favorites coming into this game. But Awake, maybe if they get their hands on a Meepo again, maybe they can just kind of surprise Titan and everybody else.
well, they certainly could, but from where we sit, ladies and gentlemen, I think either way we're going to be in for one hell of a game now. Awake, I believe they're trailing in the Group A position. I believe they're coming in last place right now, Coach, if I recall correctly.
Yes, I actually think they are. They won one game of each series that they played, so they're actually not looking as bad, but being up against Titan as the last one is never a good place to be in.
No, indeed it is not. And Titan are, well, dominating from the games yesterday at least. And I believe we have two games of Titan today, so let's see what Titan can show us, in all honesty. Going into this span, we do have Batrider, sorry, not Batrider, Brewmaster taken away, as well as the Lycanthrope. So already taking out those push-heavy heroes, but I'm looking for a ban on Razor and Void, because I would quite like something refreshing today. Then again, if that happens, we could have a Tinker in this game, and equally, that could certainly be very aggressive.
Oh man, I'm hoping for no Tinker, but one of those heroes has to come through. I mean, not too many teams actually ignore heroes as such, but Titan now, they're at their second ban. Death Prophet and Brewmaster have been taken away by Awake. Lycan, the first on Titan, and I mean, I guess Faceless Void wouldn't be too bad. Neither would really be a Doombringer ban here.
I could get into a Doombringer pick for today, I think, but we'll actually get Tide banned out. So this does leave the Tinker. It does leave the Doom as well. So this could be a very worrying point in draft, and it'll be a first pick Razor. Surprise, surprise. This is going to be a Void and a Tinker, or a Void and a Skywrath potentially. And then I think we're just going to be looking for the standard.
Yeah, I mean, anything with Faceless Void can be extremely devastating for Awake. Razor in theory is pretty good against the Faceless Void, but no, it's a Viper Doombringer instead.
I can actually get behind this. I was saying a little earlier I could get behind a Doom game today. I mean, Doom is one of those heroes where you see it too much, it sort of falls off. I think we saw it once yesterday out of 6 games, potentially. And Doom up against Razor is a pretty damn good pick, but there's a Meepo. Awake going with a Meepo pick early, and I'm wondering how this is going to pay off, because we all know how good Awake are with that Meepo.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, Doombringer isn't particularly good against Meepo because he just has so many units to be able to, or who need locking down. Viper is decent dish with just trying to tank through the poofs, I guess, and Viper strike one up, try to focus that one Meepo down to kill them all. But Meepo definitely can be good, although picking it this early on, Titan, they still have 3 picks to just kind of target the counter Meepo.
Very true, very true. And I'd be looking for, in all honesty, an Earthshaker. Since the Ember Spirit's banned out, what other big cleave or AoE ults can we get that would work in this one? I mean, to an extent, Elder Titan is pretty good against the Meepo, with all that negative armor and the extra damage with the Split Earth and the Ancestral Spirit. It's going to add up quite nicely. But from where we sit, Rubik's going to be the ban out of choice coming out of Titan, so maybe that's going to signify we're looking for something big that is easy to steal. Then again, Doom is a very good steal as is, so just could be a ban out for that. But it's still going to be an interesting one. And if Awake don't ban Earthshaker here, I could see Titan picking up Earthshaker Skywrath Mage as 3 and 4.
Oh man, Earthshaker is such a good hero against Meepo. I mean, all in all, he's a really good hero. Even against Razor, because Razor usually wants to chase people down with Static Link and just Static Storm. But suddenly the Fisher Block comes in and he can't do much of anything anymore, but back off. So I would definitely love an Earthshaker at the moment. Skywrath Mage, like I mentioned, wouldn't be too bad either. Especially those two together, just setting up the Mystic Flare with the Fisher and the Enchant Totem, just Aftershock stun locking.
Yeah, we all know the power of the Earthshaker, especially when you've got Meepo on the field. Each Meepo unit, that's an extra hero unit considered. That's an extra Echo. If you've got an Aghanims, that's 2 extra Echoes. I mean, an Aghanims in this game for an Earthshaker, if we do see an Earthshaker, we're not going to miss, but it'll depend how much farm he gets entirely. Because generally we'll just see the Blink Dagger be the big item for the Earthshaker, and then he'll fall off in terms of item progression. But a farmed Earthshaker is incredibly scary.
Yeah, they most certainly are. I mean, just the enchant totem does a ridiculous amount of damage, to be honest, if it's maxed, especially early on. But a Shadow Shaman is to pick instead. I mean, Titan, they do love that hero, or have always loved. It's an extremely strong hero, good for pushing, good for lockdown, as well as burst damage. So it's not a bad pick, but I'm still kind of hoping for the Earthshaker now.
The only reason I think the Earthshaker is slightly better, not only the Echo Slam, his ability to lock down multiple targets at once with the Echo Slam with the Fisher stuns, whereas Shadow Shaman can only hex and shackle one person each. The Aftershock is nice for the burst damage, especially bringing down the Meepo, because you hit multiple Meepos with it. But we'll get the Shadow Demon here for a wake, so a very defensive support. Shadow Demon is one of the best defensive supports. Second in the line of defensive supports is the ES, which we will see now picked up by the Titan. But with the Shadow Demon is one of these heroes that was a lot more popular than it is now. Now, he has good synergy, as we all well know, but what do you put with the Shadow Demon? Do we see the likes of the Kunkka come about? The Mirana, maybe?
If I'm not mistaken, did they run a Kanka yesterday as well with the Shadow Demon? I mean, somebody did. I can't recall what team it was, though.
It must have been in the game you cast with Michael Oros, because there was no Kunkka in the 4 that we cast.
Okay, maybe then, but... Well, it is a Kanka Shadow Demon, so... You were spot on, man.
It's nice to happen on occasion. But now, as we go into the final bans for Titan, they need to consider... Is this going to be a Shadow Demon tri-lane with a mid-Meepo and a safe lane Razor? If it is, they need to consider the Dazzle, because of the power of Shadow Demon and Dazzle. You put the Disruption down, creates the illusions, you heal the illusions, and that's multiple units of physical damage being taken on the target. I mean, it's a very good combination, and Dazzle is pretty good when you mix it up with the Meepo, with the Razor, keep the longevity going in the push. And it would make some sense, at least to me, but let's see what bans we're going to see coming out of Titan. They're going to take out the Skywrath Mage. Again, another very good ban when you've got the Shadow Demon present on the field. We all know how powerful a Skywrath Mage is, but combined with the amplification potential of a Shadow Demon, has to be kept into account.
Yeah, it would be just one hero dead. Disruption, Torrent, into Mystic Flare, but Titan, they go for an OD. Well, that they definitely picked up yesterday as well in one game.
Oh, yes, they did. It was game number 1 that we cast, and let's put it this way. Tricore, very greedy lineup from Titan. They don't care. OD just kills everything. I love seeing OD played, and this should be a hell of a game. I love the hero. It just as a concept. How it works, regardless against Awake, because I'll mention something specific in a second, but OD controls the battlefield. You want to gank OD, Astral Imprisonment. You want to farm against OD, Astral Imprisonment. You get my point. You want to do anything against OD, you have to go through the Astral, so you need to commit an extra hero to gank him in the early phase. But this is a last pick OD versus a first pick Razor. And I'm wondering if we're going to see the Razor OD matchup in the mid lane, to which Razor has a distinct advantage.
It might very well happen. I mean, last time around when Awake played the Meepo, they ran it up against a Death Prophet mid lane, I do believe it was. Although at the moment, actually Titan, I think, did they run an OD? No, they ran it in the mid lane. I was like, maybe safe lane, but at the moment, Awake, they pick up a Nature's Prophet, so it might be actually an aggressive tri-lane of sorts. Shadow Demon, Kanka, Razor, leaving Meepo in the mid lane, or can it even be something like a... I guess Meepo safe lane tri-lane wouldn't be too bad, Shadow Demon, Kanka just roaming around.
Shadow Demon Kunkka roaming around could certainly work, and Yotu and Super are taking up the Kunkka and Shadow Demon, so it looks to be a roaming support combination. I mean, it's what I've come to expect out of Awake. Then again, Solatix Meepo is a very scary force of nature, and potentially Razor mid here from Toye, although Razor, especially when it's played by Toye, tends to take the safe lane. He's been handling the voids, he's been handling the carries in general for Awake lately, so it's going to be interesting where they put this Razor, because Razor technically has the advantage against an OD in this mid lane, but yesterday we did see a Razor pick against the OD as well, and they didn't put it mid.
That is true enough, which, well, didn't really work out for them in the end, so... Oh, what? A remake has been requested?
Okay, I suppose we should just jump out and then jump into the next lobby then.
It's like, not even waiting for the admins or anything, just remake please, okay.
Well, it's okay with the teams, I suppose. Now you get to see a little bit behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen, as I need to double check the password.
It should be fine. I think the admin maybe just AFKing a little bit or something. It
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
every
yeah.
now and then when the teams are like, yeah, remake, and then they just disconnect straight off the bat. But lobby is up now, so should be fine.
Yeah, I was certain that I had the right password, just it's a pain, and you're on the wrong channel.
You're in the wrong channel. It's always Mineski TV first, man. How can you do this to them?
Well, hopefully we'll get all the players in and we can get this underway, but it should be one hell of a game. I mean, when you look at the two lineups that we have on the table, I mean, you've got the OD, the Earthshaker, you've got that paired up with the all-powerful Shadow Shaman and Doom combination for pushing power and control. Throw in a Viper on top of that. The draft out of Titan is just flat out scary, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, as always, if you're running Meepo for a week, that hero has to snowball. You cannot get shut down. Yes, you have some form of a comeback when the jungle is stacked, for example. You can flash farm that rather easily with the poofs. But all in all, Meepo, he's like a time bomb. If he just explodes early enough, it's all fine. But if it doesn't, I fear for a week. So a lot is on the line, just how well this Meepo can perform.
I was actually talking to Grandis about this in a cast that we did together, and if the Meepo cannot maintain at least a level and a half, maybe advantage, the Meepo falls off incredibly quickly. But Meepo is one of those heroes that can gain level acceleration just by controlling all the Meepos. Multiple experience, multiple sources. It works brilliantly for the hero, but it's still a very cautious role to play him. If he cannot get that advantage, he loses, just flat out.
Yeah, it's really scary picking that hero, especially this early in the draft. And I mean, Titan, I think they, in theory at the very least, should have the tools to deal with that hero. I mean, they can possibly roam rather effectively with the Earthshaker Shadow Shaman, especially OD. If it's in the mid lane, just Astral Imprisonment first, Fisher to follow, and then the hero. I mean, it should be rather easy to block him off like that.
I'd completely agree, but it will equally depend on rotations across the board. I mean, we're expecting the Conqueror and Shadow Demon combination to be walking around that map looking to have as much power as possible. And we could certainly see both support groups rotate towards that mid lane at the same time. We've seen it multiple times, actually, in the last few recent weeks. And it does bring one hell of a matchup, but how do you think Awake are going to lane this, considering? I mean, generally we would expect a Razor up against the OD, but they didn't do that yesterday. And the Meepo does do well in that mid lane.
Well, I think in this game they are going to send the Razor mid lane. Just because Razor would do, I think, better against Viper as well as OD both than Meepo. And Meepo safe lane would just kind of guarantee him that farm. And, well, with a Kanka as well as Shadow Demon being on the lane supports as well, I think they would have a pretty easy time just blowing up the Doombringer there.
Now it seems we need another pause just for a second. That remake, I believe, was so they could switch their standing out. They brought in BSR. So he's back, he's ready to play, and I believe they were standing in with Noki from Mistrust before that.
Yes, that was correct. So it's always nice to actually have them here. And BSR yesterday in one game, he absolutely crashed. I'm not too sure which hero it was on anymore, man. Just caster memory, but...
That was Razor yesterday. It was series number 2,
Oh,
game
actually,
2 with the Razor.
did he play Doombringer in one of the games?
In the first game of that series, yes, he did.
I think he was raping on Doombringer completely, but... Well, who knows, man, who knows.
That's what the VODs are there for, but as we stand, I suppose we should use this pause here to quickly introduce the teams, shall we?
I guess we should indeed. So, for Awake, up on the dire side, for the Thailand team, BSR will be playing the Meepo, leaving Supra on the support Kanka, Toyai, to play the Razor with Solatic on the Nature's Prophet, and the last one for them is going to be Yo2 on the Shadow Demon.
Yo2 has been on point with his support plays lately, and honestly, if he can get a good start in this game, it's just one of the players that I love to see play the support role. I mean, the Shadow Demon as he stands, aggressive potential, defensive potential, just the kill potential on the whole topic of their team when you mix in the Soul Catcher, the amplification. It really does add up. And Soul Catcher is one of those odd spells because of the way it's treated mathematically. I mean, it's counted as a separate instance of damage on the combat log, so it does make it possible for you to say, kill yourself with double edge if you're against a centaur. It's one of the funnier interactions I think we had in a game a couple of days ago. Was it you with you or Grandis that
I
happened?
think, well, I had a game that where it was attempted. They didn't succeed, but they did try it.
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds familiar. And now we've got the Shadow Demon reconnected. That's all well and good. But for the flip side of this coin, for Titan, you've got Ohio picking up that Doom. You've got Extinct on the Earthshaker. You've got KYXY on the Viper. Mushi handling the OD once more. And WTF on the Shadow Shaman. Honestly, Mushi on an OD again. I tend to expect explosive plays out of him. So we could be looking for one hell of an impactful game. But from where we stand, we do have rotation towards the jungle from both teams. I mean, this is a full five-man rotation towards this bottom lane, and we could certainly look for a train wreck of a level 1 fight. But when you consider who has the best level 1 potential, you got the Torrent disruption on one side for Awake, you have Fisher, Poison Attack, and Hex on the other side. And Mushi's going to get caught out here. He will get disrupted immediately. This is going to be an absolute nightmare. Torrent going to land and connect, but Fisher buys him some time. But he's blocked in. He's taking too much damage from Toye, and First Blood will go the way of BSR on the Meepo. And if there's one hero you don't want getting First Blood, it's that Meepo.
Yeah, I mean, extremely good rotations by Awake, I have to say, and of course Mushi. What the hell was he doing there alone like that? Nobody was scouting things out or anything. And of course Awake, they came from a nice angle as well. Usually you see teams like running from here and like branching out, but they came all the way around between the tree or behind the trees, so I mean, excellent First Blood, and like you said, man, what hero would it be even worse? I mean, BSR and the Meepo, all Awake. They're off to the start that they need, but can they keep up the pressure? Meepo, he's gonna actually solo by the looks of it at least, up against Ohio at the moment.
That means we do have that Razor mid up against OD, so this matchup and the lanes, especially after that First Blood, I'm beginning to favour Awake slightly more, but I never like to count out a team, and from where we stand, at least the mid lane I'm going to put advantage towards Tuye, just because Razor up against OD is so strong. We're going to see maximum in unstable current as well as static link, and whenever the prison comes up onto Mushi, that's just going to cause so many problems, because his damage will be drained and he'll be slowed up by unstable. But top lane, we do have that rotation available from Yo2 and Super.
Bottom lane, oh, they got the kill actually.
Ah.
I saw like the last 3 right clicks being thrown there. The Shackle's connected on first on WTF, or they must have at least since they are on cooldown, and KYX which is level 1 poison attack, so suddenly they tie it up. And Edge Prophet just got a little bit over-eager there.
Well, if it's this kind of game where we're going to be seeing multiple lanes of aggression across the board, then we're definitely going to be in for one hell of a game, one cracker. But it is all going to depend on how much farm Awake get. They need a lot on this Meepo. They equally do need a good amount on the Razor. And it's going to be up to Titan to stop that. Titan have the earlier pushing potential. Sure, you'll get 2 Meepos at level 3, but level 6 potential for Titan. Sanity's Eclipse, Echo Slam, Mass Serpent Wards, and most importantly, Doom.
Yeah, and that Doom ability is just such a sick thing. Shut down anything. No matter how farmed you are, no matter how many items you have, you can't do much of anything. And, well, speaking of the Doombringer, he has been forced into his own jungle straight away. But of course, that's a good thing that actually both offlaners have. They can go into the jungle if things get just a little bit too heated for them.
It's one of the strengths of the lineup, and I like this rotation from Ohio. He immediately realized, yep, I can't do that, and he's just going to take the wiser option, farm the jungle. Sure, this does give free farm the way of that top lane, and specifically onto that Meepo, but it is the right call. If you can't get anything, it's better to get something in the jungle than be a potential kill on the off lane.
Yeah, and actually, how much do you expect either team support to just start rotating around? Because they are up against safe laners, or solo offlaners rather. I mean, Meepo, he can handle Doombringer himself if need be. But actually mid lane, no. I thought like maybe Extinct wants to help out, but...
Well, he's brawling with Ohio right now. We do have that rotation starting up, and Shadow Demon's one of those heroes that can rotate quite nicely, but Ohio doesn't really have enough at this point, and Yo2's just going to tango and run away. Unless, of course, we get that Fisher across the side, and Extinct is rotating in, but he just doesn't have the range right now, and Yo2's going to get away from this one fairly safely.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio, he could have ensnared potentially, although I still don't think it would have been enough to buy enough time for the Fisher block to come out, and of course, after that Doom would have been completely out of mana, not enough even for a Devour. As BSR just starts or tries to be annoying with his poofs, and he actually has one extra Meepo. Will he send it to just try to gank mid lane or something now?
It's a possibility, but I'm going to generally think he's going to use it just to stack and farm the jungle. That will give him the level acceleration he's looking for early. But then again, if we look at the off lane for the Dire side, Solitic getting caught out of position, poison attacks are starting to fall, in comes the TP, Super is here, but it's not enough. The Nature's Prophet will fall, and now we could have a complete turnaround. WTF's going to get his damage drain, and poison attacks starting to throw on Supra. But can anyone escape this? WTF's not going to have any hope in hell. He'll go down to one more right click, and that will be cleaned up quite nicely there by the Razor. But equally, the Viper will go down to a TP in from Solitic, and that's the threat of the Nature's Prophet. You can never count him out of a fight.
Yeah, man, he's so low level as well that he just respawns so ridiculously fast. And in the end, that just dive was no way worth it for Titan. The only positive is that Toya, he left the mid lane as well for some time, so Mushi had a little bit of an easier time just farming up, but that was about it there, since they did lose 2 heroes and only got 1 in return.
So trade slightly favoured there, at least. But this is my slight issue with Titan's draft. They have a very open-ended draft. They have 3 cores, they are very greedy. If Awake can punish them early enough, that greed won't pay off. Honestly, with the Doom in this offlane role, he's not going to get anywhere near as much as we would normally expect, say, a Vladimir's. But what else could he go for early game? Vladimir's, drums, something to patch the armor hole are the general things I would expect. Maybe a Shiva's Guard instead of the AC in this case, considering he's in that 3-role Doom. But that's still quite a way away, and he only has brown boots right now, as well as 1,000 gold in the bank, sure, but is he honestly considering a Midas in this game?
Well, I mean, it sure looks like it at the moment. What else would he save just this amount of gold for? Usually you either try to get Tranquil Boots or...
Mid lane, potential threat here. Super going to drop the Torrent, going to go onto Mushi, but Torrent's not going to connect, and can't brawl onto the tower with Mushi on an OD.
Yeah, actually, looking at Toya, he has maxed out Plasma Field after all at the moment, 3 points into it even. So, not going for maxing out Static Link or Unstable Current.
That's something I find very curious, considering the Plasma Field build, sure, it's nice for pushing, it's nice for big team fights across a large field, but the Unstable Current build against an OD is absolutely insane, because every time he prisons you, you're going to take upwards of 130 damage, plus the slow, and while that slow's going on, you're draining damage away. It gives you control of the lane, and mid lane, we're going to see a little engagement here, but in comes Extinct. He's going to throw the shackles on Toye, but Mushi did get stunned up by that Torrent. Where's the turnaround? Who's going to go down first? The Sanities will drop, and the Razor will fall. Equally, though, Mushi could potentially get some more, but he doesn't have Arcane Orb yet, so he can only hit with a standard right-click. Sure, that does a lot of damage, but cleans up the kill in mid lane. We do, however, have another kill going on. KYXY on this Viper manages to clean up the Nature's Prophet once more. So the Tri-Cores, especially this Viper, are actually getting solo kills, and that's a very worrying thing for Awake.
Yeah, it certainly is, and actually a huge deal in the middle was that OD, he actually had 3 stacks of Astral Imprisonment, so he had plus 24 intelligence when he went for the ultimate, completely wrecking face me Razor. He stood no chance at all against that. And 4-3 now, Titan. They are off to a rather good start, to be honest, but Meepo, he has been almost free farming top lane, going for the straight up Aghanim Scepter, already has the point booster for it as well. So, I mean, yes, by no means is Meepo snowballing out of control yet, but at least nobody is stopping him at the moment.
He's on track to it, and he's going to get a very early Aghanims at this rate. He's already got treads and that point booster, as you mentioned. That's 2,700, 2,600 gold worth of equipment at this point. That's only 6 minutes in. He's looking for his Aghanims, I think, around the 11 to 12 minute mark at this rate. And that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's looking pretty damn good, and actually, well, Ahoya, he got himself a 7-minute Hand of Midas, so it's going to be delivered slightly later, but close enough to 7 minutes, to be honest. For an offlane Doombringer, up against a tri-lane, it's actually a pretty nice timing, I think. So, Ahoya, he's definitely going to gear up for the late game as well here.
I'd be inclined to agree, but seeing this Midas does make me think that we're not going to see too much potential in the early game for push. Then again, Shadow Shaman is here, and does he have his Mass Serpent Wards yet? No, he doesn't. He's level 4 still, so not quite at the point where they can push. They're going to get some aggression going on this tier 1 tower, but that's mainly because the lineup from Awake cannot fight at that tower yet. They don't have the potential to. But it seems it'll be a tier 1 for potentially a tier 1, as Solitic is equally using the opportunity of an empty lane to start pushing this tier 1 on the bottom.
Breath of Nature does slow down the push a little bit, although Titan, they will definitely still claim the tower. I mean, like you said, Awake, they just aren't ready to defend it. Maybe if Kanka was level 6, had the Ghost Ship available, but it's just not there. He's level 4, Yo2 actually not even level 3 yet on Shadow Demon. Pretty damn close to it, but it was a tower trade after all, and it's funny enough, since Nature's Prophet, he was pushing solo, whereas Titan was, what, pushing with 4 heroes?
Well, Titan didn't want to commit all four to the tower, so they weren't all dealing damage to it. But still, it's a very good point that you say. Nature's Prophet has accomplished solo on a lane what takes 4 people from Titan at this point. But you've got to consider now we have the potential for a smoke gang coming out of Extinct, KYXY, and WTF. And if they find anyone here, this could be a big kill. But if we just look at the map right now, such defensive play coming out of the lineup of Awake, they don't really want to risk getting caught. Maybe slightly aggressive considering they're in the enemy jungle, but in comes the wraparound potentially. Extinct is there. They drop the Astral Imprisonment. This is the setup they need, but Shadow Demon is there. Defensive Disruption comes out, but the Fissure still goes down. They're doing a good amount of damage to the Toye, but the Torrent catches on too. In comes the Plasma Field to turn this around. They lose the Shadow Shaman, but in comes Doom. Sanities will drop as well, doing some good damage across the board, but still only 1 death. Supra will take a fall, however, to the Doombringer, and now we're looking for more. It's going to be the Nature's Prophet, the big target. He did get bashed out by Roshan there for a half second, so they could look to bring him down, but I don't think they're going to find him, and Yo2's just going to fall back away as well. They lose 2, and they don't really want to risk any more heroes at this point, so disengage wisely there from Awake.
Yeah, I mean, the disruption from the Shadow Demon to the Earthshaker, the idea was pretty damn nice, I think. Just stop the Fissure, make it so that Razor can run away. But Fissure came out just before the disruption connected. But they did manage the kill onto the Shadow Shaman, so at least they got 1 in return. Yes, still favoring Titan, but it's better than nothing.
I completely agree, and now Mushi is continuing to be the aggressor in this mid lane. And I'll point out with Mushi's build, once again we're seeing that rushed 4-staff before either upgraded boots or a mechanism on the OD. And the general kind of thing that I would expect would be OD with that mechanism into the later 4-staff. But this early Force has, in multiple games here, shown how powerful he can be with it. He can get in, do the damage he needs, or escape. And against the Meepo, a 4-staff is a damn good choice of item. But we can take a look at this bottom lane. Well, in comes the aggression. They got the Soul Assumption, the Soul Catcher, and they're going to just try to bring down WTF. And with that Nature's Wrath, they will manage to do so. Viper Strike, however, will go into Supra, and he's taking a lot of damage. X marks the spot's going to try to buy him some time in his life, but it's nowhere near enough. The poison attack is just far too much, and down goes the Kunkka. But equally, we do still have the potential threat in the jungle. Razor's here, you've got Nature's Prophet, as well as the Shadow Demon still lurking. They could look to fight, but they don't really want to risk it at this point.
Yep, and speaking of risking things, man, BSR, he got himself the Dragon Disruptor finished, exactly like I said, 10 to 11 minutes. So, now Blink Dagger next, most likely, and from there on, I'm hoping to see the Meepo actually get extremely aggressive, just to get the lead back in their favor. And well, looking at the graphs, 11 minutes in, just XP graph, all sorts of spiky, up and down, only about a 400 lead for Awake at the moment gold, 1,500 for Titans, but it's no big deal at all.
I'd be inclined to agree, but the one thing I will point out about an Aghanim Scepter solely on the Meepo, consider the Aghanim Scepter for Meepo in the aspects of farming similar to a Battle Fury for Anti-Mage. It will exponentially increase his farm just by having that extra unit on the map. It's going to be absolutely scary, and I'm expecting his net worth to skyrocket, as he's already top of this board with nearly 7,000, and from where we stand, I really don't want to go up against a Meepo that's that farmed that early. I don't know about you, Gaucho.
Yeah, it's 100% not on my favorite things to do, on the list at least. I mean, especially Shadow Shaman. If the Blink comes out, there's no way he can escape this. I mean, you can try to hex that one Meepo, but what will it do for you if the other Meepo still poof on you? So the supports are gonna be extremely sad. I mean, Champion and Earthshaker might not be the easiest thing still, since all the poofs come in, and if he doesn't die immediately, he can try to turn it around with an Echo Slam. But for that, he would need to be level 6. He's still only level 4.5.
Supra could actually get quite out of position here by Mushi. Do we see the force forward? He's thinking about it. Doesn't really want to go uphill into the fog. But we do still get TPs nearby. It's, whoa, bot lane we do get aggression, and I actually miss a kill on the Nature's Prophet once again. But we get aggression onto Yo2 as well. Blink in from Ohio, and a couple of right clicks will spell his Doom, not even needing to commit the ultimate of the Doom. So absolutely perfect for them. I should really keep an eye on that Nature's Prophet. He seems to be such a big target here for Titan. And well, what's the best thing to do against a Prophet? Kill it. It's a rat.
I mean, and they've been doing it pretty damn nicely. I mean, he's died 4 times already in this game. Mid lane, the tower will go down after imprisonment makes it so the Toya can't even try to deny it. And well, there is a Blink Dagger now on Meepo, but I was a little bit surprised that Ohio went for straight out Blink Dagger after Hand of Midas and Boots.
Well, the level acceleration is what I was really looking for from the Midas. The gold is quite nice, but of course it'll take 10 uses of the Midas to near enough pay for itself. It's one of the nastier things about the Midas. Sure, the attack speed is factored in somehow, but we're going to see an attempt here on Ohio, but he's just going to blink away. Not a chance.
Man, that timing, he saw Solitix right-click flying in, or maybe it was Supra just scaring him a little bit coming into vision range, but nice reaction just getting the blink out. And in the meantime, Titan, they're going aggressively into the enemy jungle as well, most likely hoping to find the Meepo.
Well, if they find the Meepo, comes the question then, can they kill the Meepo? Because there are now 4 Meepos on the map. You've got that level 2 ultimate up, and this is really starting to snowball out of control for BSR. I mean, we look at the levels. I think the levels will show here. Meepo is level 13. He has 2 levels on the Viper at level 11. He's got 3 on the rest of the team, and if not more. It's a very scary position here for Titan to be in. If this Meepo can take the next fight like a sledgehammer coming in, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. But it seems it's Roshan time. The Meepo can certainly help out in that, but there is an Echo Slam ready to go. No Blink Dagger though for the Earthshaker, so he's not that rich. But from where we stand, this is still a particularly early Roshan. But pings do come out from Titan, specifically from KYXY. They know this is Roshan's going on, but can they stop it in time? It's going to be too late in my mind. The Solar Tick shows himself, but Roshan already goes down. In comes the Mass Serpent Walls. They're going to look to bring down BSR, and he's actually ward trapped. In the meantime, backlines this fight. Yo2 drops his disruption. They're looking for more, but they can't find it. Echo Slam comes in. However, they lose the Shadow Shaman in the backlines, but the Aegis is now popped, and now you've still got Extinct trying to escape this one. He's going to try to TP away. Does he manage to do so? He's going to cancel it. Instead, in comes Doom. But Meepo's back here. BSR comes in looking for good damage and gets the double kill off the mass poofs. And equally, Super is going to TP out, and KYXY wants to run away as well. Can they catch KYXY? We do have Blink Dagger for the Meepo, but that's a TP out, and he's going to be at the top of that ramp, completely safe.
I mean, Meepo, he had a blink there a little bit earlier as well, but he was a little bit hesitant there, maybe messed up on the micro just a little bit. Or thought Viper will be running faster, or I don't know, nighttime vision, man, it's hard to play against that. But in any case, all in all, Awake, they take a pretty good fight. They did lose the Aegis immediately almost. But more levels for Meepo. I mean, 15 minutes in, he's level 16 now. So suddenly, what, 5 levels above the next highest?
It's incredibly scary, and while that was going on, we've got to point out that Mushi wasn't in that fight. He didn't come in with that Sandys Eclipse, and he has 2 Staffs of Wizardry health. He's about to finish up a Rod of Atos. So the OD is certainly looking very scary and can fight into the Meepo, but he needs to be there for these fights. He needs to be there to drop that hammer.
I mean, the Sandys Eclipse will be an excellent tool to just try to deal with the Meepo. I mean, comparing their intelligence, OD without any stacks of Astral Imprisonment sitting at about 95, compared to BSR's 58, so I mean, it's not as little as some heroes have. So Meepo might not get immediately blown up, but it's definitely going to be a huge source of damage nonetheless.
Aye. But while we've got this little gap in time, let's take a quick look at the graphs. So we've got about a 2,000 gold lead for Titan, equally a 3,000 experience lead for Awake. But this is mainly the Meepo, I'll point out. And that Meepo has done a fair amount in this game, specifically the early portion. I mean, an Aghanims that quickly is absolutely insane. It was quicker than I thought, by the way. It was correctly predicted by Lito in the chat. He called it at 10 minutes. He was right. That's a damn quick Ags, though. I wasn't even expecting it that fast. But it shows in the GPM of this Meepo. He's got nearly 700 gold a minute.
So, now there's the question that, I mean, Meepo, yes, he's extremely farmed, but the other cores, they're not looking as good, and will it be enough as Toya? He's gonna get caught, Viper struck up as well, Mushi, he's around, but the Torrent, it makes it so that they actually have to back off for a little while, so Toya, he survives, but still, I mean, Toya, he has a reasonable amount of farm, but nothing too crazy. Solatic actually struggling pretty damn hard, only has power threats as well as a Blade Mail and the Nature's Prophet. So will this Meepo just be enough to carry the momentum and make it so that Titan can't really come into their own?
He has to be. He needs to be there for these fights, and you've got to remember, what Titan have as an advantage is they've got Mushi. And Mushi has been using that Aegis. They almost got the Razor with it there if they weren't forced back by the Torrent. And they're going to blink in. They find the Astral Imprisonment. Can they bring down the target, though? Yo2's here. TP's come in from the rest of the team, though. Super is going to take good damage. And you know how he drops the hammer. Kills the Shadow Demon instantly. But in comes Meepo. All the Meepos. Echo Slam to drop, but it does not matter. This Meepo is just doing too much work. KYXY going to fall as well. They lost the Shadow Shaman. Now they're looking for more off the back of this one. And Mushi is caught far behind enemy lines. Sprouted in. No escape from this one. And he's going to fall to that Meepo as well. All it'll be is a couple of right clicks, and there's very little that can happen here. BSR, double kill in that fight, but he did so much damage.
I mean, he managed to actually get the poofs on 3 enemy targets. Yes, he did get Echo Slam straight away after that, but the damage was done by that time already. Viper, I do believe he actually was maybe even caught within his own Shadow Shaman's Mass Serpent Wars there. Or even if not, just maxed out Chio Strike when about 4-5 Meepos are hitting at you. It's something you really don't run away from, Corrosive Skin or not, and suddenly BSR, he has a Hex finish 12 minutes in. he just keeps on spiraling out of control in both gold per minute as well as XP per minute. So it's looking actually pretty good for Awake at the moment. And I mean, Mushi, he's gonna have to get a little bit of better ultimates in the future, I think, because at the moment it was just mostly used to blow up a Shadow Demon.
True, it was mostly used to blow up a Shadow Demon, but he was trying to get the kill then disengage. That's why he forced it in the first place. You got to remember, you generally don't see a Meepo that's that farmed this early, so he wasn't expecting that kind of turnaround potential from Awake, but this proves Awake should never be counted out of a fight, and they're going toe-to-toe with Titan and winning in this case. At least, if we look at the graphs, they're starting to take control once again. Titan are losing their gold advantage, and the experience advantage keeps building for Awake. You got to consider, that was a 17-18 minute Scythe of Vice. That's a near 800 gold a minute Meepo. I have never seen a Meepo that's got that high a gold per minute. Usually that kind of GPM is reserved for alchemists, for anti-mages, and for PLs. This is a scary Meepo.
Yeah, he most certainly is. I mean, I maybe seen one that equals this farm, but it's been a really long time ago, and definitely not against a team like Titan at the same time, so... Especially since Titan, they got off to a pretty decent enough start, but Supra now. Can he land the torrent up onto Mushi potentially here? I mean, Shadow Demon is coming in as well. Unfortunately, there's no Blink, no Force Def on Yo2 to just get closer for the disruption, set things up.
If they can set things up, that would be absolutely perfect, but the problem here is you've got all of the rest of the team rotating in now, and you've got Shiva's Guard popped in the back of the fight. They're going to go straight into Supra with that Doom, and they're going to kill the Kunkka. That's a very big kill. Takes out the boat, and that's probably the biggest team fight ultimate for Awake. You've got to consider the damage reduction potential of that boat, and they're going to use the opportunity, pick off one, get the tower. They can do that with the Mass Serpent Wards, and this is something that equally Awake need to be cautious of. They need to watch their positioning, especially considering they've got Ohio on Doom. And Ohio's Doom is one of his better heroes. It's a very scary one to fight into as well if he gets farmed. And we've got to consider, he already has a Sheep's Guard. The weakness of Doom is his armor at the start, and he's just going to keep going aggressive. Goes on to Toye this time, and now you've got Viper coming in. KYXY drops the Viper strike, and that's going to make it incredibly difficult for Toye to turn this one around, but in comes the Nature's Wrath. Viper, however, is just doing too much damage. Sure, Ohio does nothing, but BSR? What's he doing?
Yeah, they got the kill onto Mushi at the same time that the mid lane fight was going on, so... I mean, it was a 1-for-1 in a sense. Of course, they did lose tier 2 tower top as well as the Kunkka, so... All in all, Titan got the better trade. Will the tower get denied the Fisher? Yes! Extinct, man. Beautiful plays.
Well, at least denying the extra gold the way of the enemy. I wasn't expecting the second fight to be going on. They're not exactly making it easy for us. Now we just see the mass TPY. They don't want to risk this one. In comes Ohio. Pops a Shivas. Doesn't find anything this time, but... Meepo's now going to start putting his attention on this mid lane. There are 5 Meepos now present. He's got a Scythe of Ice, a Blink Dagger, and another 2,000 gold in the bank. Are we looking for a heart or a Skadi?
Well, either one would be fine. I'm kind of rooting for rather a Skadi than a heart, since it gives you more or less the same amount of actually survivability. Whereas heart, I mean, I just prefer the Skadi. More intelligence as well to try to survive the Sanity's Eclipse.
That's a very true point, and we've got to consider Sanity's Eclipse for a moment. This Meepo has 107 intellect. Now, if I remember my mathematics for Sanity's Eclipse correctly, if the OD's intellect is greater, it does the difference in multiplied damage with a threshold. Currently, Mushi does not have enough mana. He does not have enough intellect even. All he'll do is, if he hits BSR with the Sanity's Eclipse, is drain his mana. That's a very worrying position to be in. It is actually incredibly worrying. That's the power of the Scythe of Vice, I guess, on the Meepo. And it gives him effectively health, just because he is so high in terms of a mana pool. That is a really good interaction. I'm going to have to remember that one. I'm going to put that one down in my notebook.
Yeah, and since he's so high leveled as well, he actually has at least 5 points into stats now, which means another 10 intelligence. Picks up an ultimate orb now. And he actually has surpassed the OD. OD, of course, he has more items coming in the future, plus Astral Imprisonment. I mean, it does deal 10 intelligence per stack. But he's going for a BKB now, which is kind of a must, I guess, by the way he got blown up last time in the bottom lane.
I would have thought he would go for the BKB earlier in this game, in all honesty. I mean, BKB is such an important item when you're going toe-to-toe with a Meepo. It takes away all of the poof damage. The only thing you really need to worry about then is Earthbind. I mean, sorry, Geostrike. Geostrike goes through a BKB. It's an incredibly nasty spell as well. But now we do get a full 5-man smoke coming out of Titan. They want to march forward. They want to get kills. But the question is, can they? I mean, they're going to be going toe-to-toe into the Meepo. If they can kill him and get out, that's perfect. And we do see the smokes. They're going to just keep going forward. Mushi's going to stay in the mid lane and just not reveal. And if they catch anyone, they could catch BSR, but not going that way yet. KYXY is looking towards the lane and equally not finding anything. This is a pretty big investment, and you can see the line drawn on the minimap by the lineup of Awake. They realize they were in the jungle. They're not going to risk that, and they're just going to commit the 2-2. In comes the Doom. He drops Doom on Toye. Toye, however, gets defensive disruption. Now we got the Torrent flying in. Going to land on no one, unfortunately, but equally, though, in comes the boat. It's going to apply the buff to everyone. No one caught once more. Just a few missed spells is going to really add up. In comes BSR. He wants to catch KYXY. Where are the rest of the Meepos, though? Torrent comes down. It does not matter. Also, Toye is here. Meepo picks up another. Equally, though, Solitic with that Blade Mail is getting very aggressive going forward and just maintaining control. And that's a denied tower the way of Awake. They'll also clean up the full mass Serpent Wards. So, very good fight there for Awake. They take 2, they deny a tower, and now they can shunt mid, get this tier 1. This tier 1 has been a blight on the map for Awake for the last 5 to 10 minutes. It shouldn't have been there, and now they want to fix that issue.
Yeah, and Roshan is about to spawn as well, straight after they get this tier 1 tower now, so excellent fight. They're gonna get tons of objectives after this as well, and Titan, I feel like, why couldn't they have just waited for their BKBs? I mean, Mushi was extremely close to it, actually, extinct.
BSR! So, that's what happens when you get a Blink Dagger on Meepo, just the ability to blow up any support.
But, I mean, my point was that Mushi, he actually has enough gold for his BKB in 100 gold. KYXY finishes up his as well. Could they or should they have just waited for a couple extra minutes? I mean, even Earthshaker was like only 400 gold away from his own Blink Dagger. So just going on the aggressive at the time, like just before you finish up the next big items, might have been a mistake, because now suddenly those items are set back, and not only that, there's an Eye of Sky on the Meepo, plus they get Roshan.
Yeah, it's an incredibly powerful set of items that just came online for Awake. Would you really want to go toe-to-toe with a Meepo that is that farmed? I don't think you would. You've got to consider these BKBs are going to help, but the Geostrike will still go through, and that also applies a slow, which also stacks to a multiplicative degree with a Skadi. I can do the nap from that between the games. From where we stand, this is still particularly scary. And this is only 25 minutes in, I will point out. This Meepo has a 21,000 net worth 25 minutes into a game. That means his gold per minute. What is his gold per minute? 835. What in Divinity's Edge is that? That is huge. That's colossal.
Man, that guy is just sick at the moment. I mean, he's almost doubling the farm of the Doombringer, who is rather farmed as well. I mean, he started in the offlane, yet he's still the most farmed hero in their team. Of course, the 2 BKBs on Titan might make a small difference, but if the Meepo poofs on them with the Geostrike as well as the Eye of Skadi, they're still not going anywhere and might just die to the pure physical damage output. I am kind of hoping for somebody, maybe the Kanka, and actually he's going for it. Yes, he's going for the Vladimir's offering as well, so he's doing exactly what I would have hoped for. Just try to boost up the Meepo even more.
When you've got the Meepo, a Vladimir is pretty much the item you want. It gives him that extra lifesteal. It means he's got more survivability through lifesteal. It's a small amount of effective HP, but it does add up. You mix in that, more importantly, the armor for the team. The armor is one of the best reasons to always buy a Vlads. And when you're against a physical damage lineup like a Doom, Mass Serpent Wards, a Viper, you can't underestimate the power of a Vladimir.
Yeah, you most certainly cannot. I mean, BKBs wouldn't be too bad either, really, especially now that Extinct has himself the Blink. But Echo Slam, it is still only level 1. Yes, it can still be just a huge source of damage, especially if all the Meepos are grouped up together. But I mean, Meepo, he has increased magic resistance as it is. Plus, he is sitting at what, 2.9k HP on the main Meepo. So it's hard to bring him down.
A level 1 Echo won't tickle that, really, and you've got to consider he doesn't even have Aftershock max. This Earthshaker has had a very unfortunate game, and sure, you've got to consider what you're up against, but Extinct's done what he can. Honestly, he has, and he's still trying to fight into this one. With a good Echo, he might buy time for the Doom to get on target, to Doom that Razor to take him out of the fight, for the Viper to be able to get in and control a Meepo, maybe. But it's still a very tall order here, and if we look at the graphs, I suppose we should at this point. What was a 3k to 4k lead for Titan in terms of gold at one point, it's now a 4k lead for Awake. Still recoverable, but most importantly, it's a near 20,000 experience lead for Awake, which is the key thing. Gold means very little at this point when the Meepo has this many levels.
Well, I mean, he's maxed out on levels at least, so he's not gonna gain any more. That's a small positive for Titan.
That is almost a level a minute in average. That is absolutely insane from BSR.
But look at the item Ohio went for. He went for a Maelstrom, so probably a Mjolnir to come. I mean, yes, Mjolnir actually, the static charge, it's pretty good against Meepo because it's just so many instances of damage are coming in, so the lightning procs will be flying around. But man, a Doombringer with Mjolnir, it's something you don't see every day.
No, it isn't, but you do see this. Doom onto a Razor. He's going to be caught out with the Skadi, but in the meantime, in the back foot, you've got BSI. He's hexed up, BKB popped as well. But that damage onto KOX, it does not matter. But in comes the Echo Slam, as well as the Mass Upperwards, buying some time. BSR's taking a good amount of damage, but of course, I believe they need to kill him twice. Ager's going to force, but in comes Yo2. The boat lands as well on 3, and this fight just is going to snowball out of control. BSR's back alive. Solitic is back in the fight. Doom went down, so did the Shadow Shaman, and now in the back lines, Mushi. He is the target. They want to bring him down, but in comes the Viper Strike. The Sanity's Eclipse falls. It does nothing to the Meepo. BSR laughs in Mushi's face, and Mushi will fall. Equally Extinct is going to be the next target, but in the meantime, KYXY gets the double kill. He manages to pick up a few kills, and he's going to try to TP out. Does manage to do so at the last second, and Solitic and BSR are now going to take themselves a free tier 2.
Well, all things considered, it was actually a pretty good fight for Titan since they were up against an Aegis as well. If the Aegis wouldn't have been there, it would have been a 4. Actually, probably it would have been like a 4 for 2 at max, since Meepo wouldn't have been able to get the cleanup kills afterwards. But of course, that's why Awake even went that aggressive in the first place. And KYXY, oh, he got away first, but now he's gonna get hexed up. Poofs come in, a few more right clicks, that's all they need. Actually, the Shackles with the Fisher, they're keeping them in place. They will get BSR, one more right click. Yes, they kill off the Meepo. How much XP, how much gold did they just get? The Solitic trying to TP out. It's not gonna be a success, I think. The Shackles are on cooldown, it doesn't really matter. So the base is defended, Meepo down.
Meepo down, yes, I will grant that. But as we stand, that was a large investment just to kill the Meepo twice. Sure, it's 1,400, I want to say? Yeah, 1,425 gold via the Shadow Shaman, which is going to help him towards, I don't know, what is he going to buy at this point? Maybe an Aghanim, so it's going to help. But now, this is a point that has been raised by the chat a few times, a Necro book. A Necro book against the Meepo, especially if you can get that Necro 3, the damage of the last will of the melee Necro unit will do a lot of damage to that Meepo. But of course, this is the thing, if you go multiple Necro books versus the Meepo, and the Meepo just poofs in on everything, they need that same Meepo to be hit by multiple last wills to bring him down reliably quickly. I believe it's 900 pure damage, I want to say.
It's 6, 800. I think.
For a Necro level 3, I think it's 8 or 9. I think.
Oh, top lane, they get the Doom onto Toya. Should be an easy kill Extinct with the stun locks. Actually, Breath of Nature comes through, and Toya, he's just so speedy. Can't pop the mech, they need some heals, and yeah, he's gonna go down.
It's a unfortunate one for Toya. He keeps getting picked off by the Doom, but that's why the Doom comes into his form in this one. He is there to deal with Razor, because if you throw a Doom on a Meepo, he's just going to laugh it off. But the gold is starting right up for Ohio, and from where we sit, he's going to be going for that Mjolnir, as you mentioned. And if Ohio can get that Mjolnir, the extra lightning procs could be enough to add to the table here, but we've got to remember, BSR still has an extra slot available now. He's not got that Aegis anymore. He can go for another item to tank up, but what would you go for? I mean, what gives you the most stats? I mean, a heart would be reasonable in my mind, but equally, a second Eye of Skadi wouldn't go amiss, and Ohio's in a lot of trouble here. Blinking, all of the Meeples are there. In comes the Shivas to try to buy some time, and Ohio's just going to blink into the trees and get the hell out of Dodge. Does not want to risk being caught. Rightfully so.
I mean, I know some Meeples like to go for Mata Slice, for example. At the moment, there's not too much to actually try to dodge with that, but extra Meeples, never a bad thing, to be honest.
I also believe you can poof to the illusions.
Poof, the Poof of Travels, Poof of Travels, man. Too much Meepo. but I mean, Poof of Travels definitely won't be a bad choice either. Just, you can be even more mobile than a Meepo already is. And just extra movement speed, which actually he can't stay on target actually too well, considering he has the Eye of Skadi and Geostrike. Since the BKBs from Titan, they have helped out a little bit, the 4 staffs. And actually, do they even have more than one? Nope. Only 1 4 staff, a little bit surprising, to be honest.
BSR just picked up an Eagle song.
Man, Butterfly actually not a bad choice, I guess, but can it be E-Blade?
the evasion doesn't propagate. This is what I was just considering for a second. Evasion does not propagate. The straight stats of the agility will, but now we've got Ohio in a lot of trouble. In comes BSR as well. They're going to look for the torrent. It's going to be more than enough. The boat's going to drop as well, and Ohio will just fall off the back of that one. All of the rest of the team are just going to rotate away. They don't really want to share in Ohio's fate. But it could be an E-Blade. It seriously could. I mean, you've got to consider the magical damage of a Meepo is very large, but yeah, it is an E-Blade.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better than the Butterfly would have been. Just because, like I said, it actually doesn't go up onto your illusions. Or not illusions, the other Meepos. So, E-Blade, the damage is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And not only that, you can just use it on Viper, for example, if you don't want him to right-click anybody else down. Of course, Viper has a BKB, but it's going to wear down eventually. And in the meantime, Toye going for that Assault Cuirass as well, so physical damage is going to get boosted also. Going pretty nice as Mushi. Oh, they get the slow to Toye, they get the Hex as well, Mass Serpent Wars. Nice defensive disruption from Yo2, and oh, BSR, he's there. They want to go for WTF, and actually they Echo Slam. Can they kill off BSR? I have my doubts, and next thing, he's slowed down to Oblivion. WTF gonna lose his life as well. But now they will get BSR. The Zenith Eclipse does nothing at all. KOXY needs to chase down that one Meepo. Will it be a success? No, he gets hexed out and taken down. The final kill of the Meepo, but triple buyback.
Yeah, it's also a triple kill for the Meepo, and everyone buys back. Equally, the Meepo's going to buy back, and he wants to get down here. They lose the tier 3. Equally, KOXY will go down within a Sprout, and the fight just went absolutely sideways. That Sandy's Eclipse does nothing at this point. We say that Meepo needs a level advantage. The same applies to an OD, and OD in this case got shut down relatively early. He didn't get as much in terms of intellect. He didn't get that snowball that we can see an OD go for, and they're just going to go for the throne. BSR and the rest of Awake, they've played this game phenomenally, and they're just going straight for the throne. There is nothing that can stop them as well either. And it seems like game number 1 is going to be going the way of Awake. GG is called, and honestly, off the back of this one, I can't wait for game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, neither can I, to be honest. I mean, Awake, if they get their hands on the Meepo, at least in MPGL at the moment, 2 games played with Meepo, 2 games won, man, 100% win rate. Got to ban it out.
Well, we did see targeted bans against Awake yesterday in terms of that Meepo, but this was a show of force, in all honesty, coming out of Awake, and it shows Titan equally. In game number 2, they must respect that Meepo. That Meepo snowballed out of control so quickly. I've never seen a Meepo just that strong that early. And that does leave me to turn around and think, if we see it in game number 2, it's going to be something special.
Indeed it will, guys, but that's where we're going now. I just leave Blackadder for the outro, and by me, thanks for tuning in, guys, and hope to see you in game 2.
We'll see you in game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll give you some good music in the downtime.